So I want you to imagine Alex, who's in an adult romantic relationship. Alex often feels insecure about their relationship, worrying that their partner doesn't love them as much as they love their partner. And this often leads Alex to seek constant reassurance and approval to alleviate their fears of abandonment. They may text or call their partner excessively, get upset if their partner doesn't respond immediately, and struggle with, at times, jealousy or worry and anxiety when they are apart. Despite their partner's efforts to reassure them, Alex's underlying fear of being unlovable or their partner leaving them persists, affecting the stability and health of the relationship. If Alex sounds like you might have an anxious, preoccupied attachment style. Hi, my name is Travis Goodman. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and mind-body coach. And in this video today, I'm going to give you an overview of the anxious, preoccupied attachment style. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. So firstly, why should you care about this? Why does it matter? Because the reality is your attachment style has a direct impact on your relationships. And recognizing the patterns in which you relate to others and yourself gives you an opportunity to grow, to learn, to heal, which will lead to a reduction in anxiety and stress in your relationship and higher relationship satisfaction. So here's an overview of what this attachment style looks like. So those that have an anxious, preoccupied attachment style often show and exhibit high levels of anxiety in their relationship. They often crave closeness and intimacy. They fear rejection and abandonment. This often leads to behavior that seeks constant reassurance and validation from their partners, fearing that without it, they might lose the connection. Their self-worth and self-esteem is closely tied to their relationship, and they may prioritize the needs of others over their own to maintain closeness. And something I've seen with my practice working with hundreds of people that have this attachment style often take on kind of the pleasing role in the relationship. I've seen them really sacrifice their own needs and hyper-focusing on those of other, whether it's their boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or with a family member, because often it's a way of reducing that anxiety that if they're okay, I'm okay, and therefore I'm needed and connected to because their distress is taken care of. And so again, they take on that pleasing role, which can lead to detrimental effects for the individual because they don't really know how they're doing. They don't really get to state their own needs and what they're longing for in the relationship. And that can lead to feelings of resentment, to anger, to frustration. And so to go back in time, we want to look at the development of this attachment style, which is often rooted in early childhood and spanning through your teenage years and young adulthood. This often stems from a parent or caregiver and their inconsistent caregiving to the child. And this is often where the child might learn that attention and affection from their caregivers are unpredictable. And as children, they might even have and have shown clinginess, needing for constant reassurance of love and presence from their caregivers. They might have also exhibited kind of heightened distress during separations and a lack of confidence in exploring their environment, even in the presence of their caregiver, often seeking more reassurance that things are okay and safe. These children can also become hypervigilant in their moods and behaviors of the caregivers and parents as a way of kind of securing attention and care, which can lead to this anxiousness and preoccupation with the attachment figure. And so then from there, when we look at childhood, there's this direct correlation for how it translates into adult relationships. And a quick caveat, your attachment styles aren't just impacted in childhood. Now, the research shows that's where predominantly most of the foundation is laid, so to speak, for your attachment style. But as you go through life, different relationships can have a significant impact on your attachment style. And something else the research has shown is that one can have a different attachment style with different caregivers or different partners. So what's the impact on adult romantic relationships? Well, in adult romantic relationships, this attachment style manifests as needing constant reassurance and closeness, fearing abandonment, and having difficulty trusting their partner's affection. This can lead to codependency, emotional volatility, and challenges in maintaining healthy boundaries. It may also strain relationships as the partner may feel overwhelmed or unable to meet the constant need for reassurance from the partner that has the preoccupied, anxious attachment style. And an adult who has this attachment style often, when they're reading text messages or seeing messages on social media, tend to view it from the lens. The lens they see these messages is often from that kind of worry and anxiousness, often fearing that abandonment, that they read into messages from their partner and have that that lens that can kind of skew, even if not based on facts. So if you can relate to any of this, go ahead and drop a comment below with what part is resonating with you and what have you found helpful up to this point. So now, how do we heal? Well, I'm glad you asked. There's quite a few ways that we could begin to heal this attachment style, much like all the others. And first and foremost is going to be some form of therapy. You're going to want to meet with a therapist who is trained and has a better understanding of attachment theory, who can walk you through understanding your attachment style and begin to kind of help you walk the path towards healing and restorations and developing what's called a secure attachment style. And there are different modalities out there. For example, I'm trained in attachment theory. I'm also a certified EMDR therapist with an attachment-focused lens through the Parnell Institute. And so I use EMDR as a trauma therapist to begin to heal what we call attachment deficits and wounds in early childhood. And it's a very, very powerful modality for healing. In fact, if you know what EMDR is, comment below. If you found benefit from EMDR, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story and how you found it helpful and useful in your healing journey. The second would be self-awareness. There's plenty of ways to begin to identify your attachment style. There are free attachment style questionnaires. In fact, I'll drop a few in the comments below. There's books and articles all about attachment styles. So you want to begin to identify and work on your awareness, because as you become aware of what's going on inside, especially if you have that anxious, preoccupied attachment style, you'll begin to kind of catch yourself, begin to pause. I'm sensing there might be something wrong, or I'm not loved, or I might get abandoned or rejected, and begin to kind of see how that's manifesting in my life. And again, as you build that awareness and you begin to see what's written in the literature, as you begin to work on healing, you begin to kind of have these moments in time with this newfound awareness of, okay, is my partner really going to reject me? Or is this based upon past experiences and past fears and doubts and hurts and traumas in my life that's leading me to come to this conclusion that is not based on facts, that's not based on the reality in the relationship to which I find myself? For example, sometimes our partner or your partner can be showing us consistent behavior that they're not going to leave us, that they're not going to reject us, that they're not going to abandon us, that we have worth, that we are lovable, and yet we still feel this kind of, I can't trust this. Another way we can begin healing is building your self-confidence. As one who has a preoccupied, anxious attachment style, you want to begin to do things independently, begin to build self-worth and self-identity outside of the relationship, which begins to build that confidence in self, begins to kind of protect, so to speak, from that fear. It begins to give some sense of self-agency, that your identity does not solely depend upon what the other thinks of you. Another way is developing healthy and effective communication styles and communication skills by being able to identify and communicate directly with your partner some of those fears, some of those anxieties, and allowing the influence of your partner to share and begin to trust that individual, begin to trust what they're saying. As you begin to state your needs, state your fears, allowing your partner to share their fears, their needs, and also kind of watching for consistent behavior and be able to describe effectively what you're needing from your partner. Another reason why that's helpful is because we want to be able to share your needs effectively in a healthy way, not by screaming or yelling or demeaning or needing constant assurance, but coming to a place where you can clearly communicate your needs in a calm manner. Number 5, a really, really big one, is going to be, especially with that anxious attachment style, is having techniques that help calm the nervous system. And the reason why we need to have skills to regulate our nervous system, especially if we're anxious, is because when we're stuck in that anxiety, what's often happening is we're stuck in a fight-flight response in our nervous system. And when we're stuck in that type of state, we're going to be kind of on edge in a hypervigilant state. And we're not going to be able to think clearly because we're going to be responding from a more survival state. And so we want to develop skills to help reduce our stress by activating our vagus nerve, for example. And that's going to be something like taking some in-breaths, like 4-7-8 breathing, 4-6-8 breathing, box breathing. So something where you breathe in for 4 seconds and you breathe out for 8 seconds. So you're having this longer exhale, and do that for a few minutes as you feel the nerves begin to slow down and drop, where you're no longer kind of in this kind of heightened anxiety, but kind of like, okay, I'm kind of re-engaging my frontal lobe. I'm kind of getting out of my kind of fight or flight response and not so activated, where I can think more rationally and begin to kind of examine, is this just based on this fear and this hurt, or is my partner actually going to reject me and leave me? Or does my partner actually love me, and are they actually consistent? And the only way we can get there is if our nervous system is more calm, so we can, again, engage our frontal lobe, which helps us think more rationally, think more clearly. Because if you're in a heightened state of anxiety and stress, you're going to have tunnel vision. You're only going to see the fear, you're going to see the danger, and not be able to see all the positives around you, not be able to see kind of the cues of safety. And so we want to work on techniques. And again, it's like mindfulness techniques, things like yoga, different breathwork techniques to help calm the nervous system. And the purpose, again, for all of this is to bring awareness awareness. And as you have awareness of what's going on for you, you begin to have a path of healing. And as you begin to go and journey on this path of healing, you're going to see the benefit not only in your internal world, but in your relationships with your loved ones, with friends, with family, with coworkers. And it's going to have more life-giving relationships rather than kind of life-taking or life-sucking. And as we begin to address these areas, as we begin to kind of journey towards healing, you could begin to move toward a secure attachment style, reducing the effects of that anxiousness, begin to trust yourself, begin to trust others around you. And if you want to take a little bit of a deep dive into the next attachment style, you're going to want to watch this next video.